Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Book Club with Caden Kelly. I am your host, Caden Kelly, and I'm the one who started this podcast a year ago, and over a year ago, just barely, and with the intention to improve my health, my wealth, my wisdom, and my peace. And today is very special because I've completed 50 books. 50 books. All nonfiction with that intention to improve my health, my wealth, my wisdom, and my peace. And so for the special occasion, I put on a necktie. And not only did I gotta put these armchairs down. I did not just a necktie, but I got a white collared shirt on. I got my jacket. I got my hair did. Very special day. But I also have to say, it's new. If you like to tune into the video, it's new today because I moved rooms. I moved my computer from one room to another, and now the camera angles. I set it up a little different, so my camera angle is different. My lighting is different. I got new LEDs in the room, which I really like. But everything's fresh. We're getting a fresh start. We're starting fresh. And today we're going to review the 50 books that I read. And I'm going to want to go through all the notes. So instead of reading a book for this last week, I went through my 50 books and I took out the gems. I took out the golden nuggets. So we can combine them, figure out what everyone's trying to say, and it's been awesome. So anyway, to get my spiel out of the way, I do this live, usually Mondays, but yesterday was the 4th of July. Happy Independence Day, or Independence Day. I was gonna try to do it yesterday, but I spent a little extra. I spent yesterday compiling the list, my notes. So today's Tuesday, the 5th, and that's fine, but we do it Mondays live, usually in the early afternoon-ish time, late mornings. Used to do it 8 a.m. sharp, but now we do it a little bit later because I have work stuff I got to get I have to finish before I can tune out for, an hour and a half, 2 hours. So you can find the video live on Twitch, on YouTube, on Facebook, under Caden's Podcast. You can find links to everything on my blog, cadenkellysblog.wordpress.com. And the links to that you can get that on my Instagram. I got my social medias right here, right below me. So you can get the whatever. You can get the links through there too. So we keep it fresh. And I try to make it really easy for everybody. So we did 50 books. I started a new podcast called Here's the Point with Caden Kelly, where I do the same thing as this podcast, but I do it in 15 minutes so that so you just get the main points out of the way, reach a new audience. This has been such a fun journey for me, and now I'm able to expand and try new things and try to get better at what I'm trying to do, and reach more people. That little podcast, it's growing slow and steady, just like the last one. So it's been awesome. All of this has been awesome. So I got the microphone arm on the other side of the screen now, and my camera. I think my camera angle is good. and the mic should be working. The hardest part about moving my whole setup is my PC build kind of sucks, or at least my PC, it might be a lemon, and sometimes things cut out. So I'm going to try to, now I have things put in new places, cables plugged into different spots. So I'm going to keep an eye out on everything. But it looks like everything's running smoothly. I've tested it out over the weekend. Anyway. Yeah, welcome to another episode. So, another special announcement. Wearing the necktie and the suit, also in commemoration of my brother Cannon, or should I say, Elder Kelly, who just left for his mission in Iowa City, Iowa. Rather, he hasn't left yet. We dropped him off at the MTC last Wednesday. And I think he leaves for Iowa tomorrow. But in any case, the suit, this is a suit I got after my mission 6 years ago when I got home. And this tie was from a wedding. And it's the only tie I have left because I gave all my other ties to my brother. So this is the only tie I'll wear. And it like twists. It's not supposed to twist, but it twists, so it's always backwards. But anyway, you can't see that part. You can't see the twist. Yeah, and then eventually I want to get like a chair right here behind me and a shelf with some of my books that I've read. A shelf, a chair, some lights, maybe a little signs and posts or posters. Yeah, just the stuff. Make this look awesome. Anyway. A lot of BS, but we're here for another episode, and I know that some people might not show up because the holiday. You might have the 5th off, so you're sleeping in, or you're out partying, or you just don't give a fuck about watching it live. And I don't give a fuck because I've committed to doing this once a week for myself to help myself improve, and putting this list together has been so awesome. I realized where I have like really, really, really important and good notes, really important things that I've learned, and I've noticed some areas where I've lacked learning things or lacked applying things, going through everything, or things that I just completely forgot after moving on to the next book. It's been awesome to do this review. So I guess really fast, I want to go through I want to read the books that I have done. I don't think this is in order, my notes, but I'm going to, actually, I think I'm missing a couple. So I'm going to pull up my Spotify and just read you the episodes. And if you remember, if you've been here from the very beginning, this, I got to go home to my shows. Some of the earlier episodes, I would listen to a podcast and then just talk about the podcast. So not all of them have been books. Not all episodes have been books, but I've counted and I've done 50 books, not including duplicates, because I've read a couple books twice. So it started, the very first episode, June 2021, Monday morning motivation. That's what it started as, because I wanted to get the week started right. Wanted to start out kicking ass and then finish the week kicking ass, and it's molded over time. The first book we started with was Can't Hurt Me. I'm just gonna read the titles, not the authors. We did Can't Hurt Me, Homo Sapiens, or maybe that was just called Sapiens. Four Agreements, The Four Agreements, Primal Blueprint, Irresistible. Yeah, some of these are podcasts. Rich Dad. Whoops. Yeah. Oh, did I do 2 and 1? Oh, so maybe I did 51 because I don't think I counted that twice. One of the very first is called Habits and Money. I did The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy and Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't think I counted that as 2 books. Doesn't matter. I'll keep going. The Compound Effect, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, How to Think Clearly, Intelligent Investor, Do Nothing, 80/20 Sales and Marketing, Overcoming Obstacles, The 4-Hour Workweek, Everything is Fucked, a book about hope, Siddhartha and the Yoga Sutras, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Hunter-Gatherers in the 21st Century, The Entrepreneur Myth, Atomic Habits, How to Sit Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet, Winning Friends and Influencing People, The Comfort Crisis, An Antidote to Chaos, Jordan Peterson's 12 Rules for Life, Extreme Ownership, Letters from a Stoic, Conquering Self-Sabotage. Oh, that book was called The Mountain is You, The Buddha and the Badass, Courage is Calling, Dopamine Nation, Karma, a Yogi's Perspective, Behave, Beyond Good and Evil, Dare to Lead. That was not a book. Do Nothing Come Again. Man's Search for Meaning. Homo Deus. Increase Your Financial IQ. Rich Dads, Increase Your Financial IQ. The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Becoming Nobody. Influence. Ego is the Enemy. Enlightenment Now. Traction. Get a grip on your business. Get Out of Your Head. Yeah, that was what that one was called. Discourses and Selected Writings of Epictetus. The War of Art. Endure. The Power of Now. Your Money or Your Life. Outliers. And then Grit. I think that might be 51 actually, but at least 50. So here's what I did. I took those books, I started a new note, and I later on in my podcasting, my podcasts, I created this concept of health, wealth, wisdom, and peace. So I tried to separate the books into those 4 categories, and what I realized is really for health, it's kind of silly to organize books that way, because health, I've only put one book in there, The Primal Blueprint, which was, now that I'm thinking about it, the Primal Blueprint had like a specific guide for exercise routines, and not routines, but just exercising and diet. But now that I think about it, so did the 21st Century Guide book by Brett Weinstein and Heather Heying, I forget how to say her name. And so did Sapiens. There were a few. They weren't like specific guides. Primal Blueprint was the only guide. And then the wealth books, most of them were leadership books that I read, like Extreme Ownership, and Dare to Lead, Traction. They're not like, anyway. Wealth, peace, and then I entered a 5th category because I didn't know where to put books like Dopamine Nation and Winning Friends and Influencing People. Anyway, it was fun to try to categorize the books because I realized I didn't really know where some of the books belonged. Those 4 principles are kind of, I came up with them on the spot. What do you want me to say? So I kept writing. I entered the books where I thought I could, and then I just started writing. I started going through all of the book notes, my old book notes, and taking out the gems, like I said, and kind of organizing them. I started organizing them under health, wealth, wisdom, peace, and then I eventually condensed it to 2 main principles, or 2 lines of thought: peace and purpose. So I think again, while acknowledging that I may have fallen short in the health aspect and wealth, not really. A lot of the wealth advice, the books that were designed for the wealth, a lot of those books went into the purpose section. A lot of those notes. And peace, like peace and purpose. Those 2 were the those I just realized became the dominant theme to most of my notes. The health one, the health one was hard because I I also had to step back and look at my goals, my short term. I've been trying really hard to compile short term and long term goals or systems, just like these books try to, teach you to implement. Because uh, well, yeah, what was I saying? So I try to implement these, or I try to organize my notes by my goals, understand my goals, so that oh shit, what was I saying? Why am I organizing my? Anyway, I don't remember where I was going. It's weird. I'm just by myself and I'm really focused. I think I'm really I feel really focused and I can't put it all together. But whatever. Hey, podcasting's hard, baby. You try it. Podcasting's hard for a year. At reading a book every week for a year. So yeah. So you know what I have just learned about myself is a lot of the health advice that I get doesn't come through books. It's coming through my social media. It comes through the people I follow and their posts. So I have like two main accounts that I pay attention to, really. There's like two for my health. There's Paul Saladino, who is the carnivore MD, who advocates for this semi-carnivore, he calls it the carnivore-ish diet, where it's mostly meat and organs, but also raw dairy, fruit, and honey. And so I follow his line of thought, and I don't want to really bring up Liver King because the more that I follow Liver King, the more phony or the less attracted I am to him. Paul Saladino, he's like he's the brains behind even what the Liver King is trying to do. But anyway, Saladino on one side, and then on the other side, Saladino's direct adversary is, what's his name? Layne Norton, Dr. Layne Norton. So both doctors, both nutrition PhDs, I think, and both saying completely different things about diet and not so much about exercise. Okay, you want to talk about each category? So these guys are my health plugs. I think both of them have books, but I haven't read their books. I actually should check that out. I don't know any. I'm just getting familiar with Norton. I've been following Saladino for a while. So Norton's line of thought is there are clear, like, follow the science, basically, is his whole line of his whole doctrine. Follow the science. Saladino, there was a really interesting debate between Saladino and Norton, and Saladino's point of view is more clinical and hands-on and experience-based, and Norton is all about meta-analysis, large-scale research with randomized, controlled tests, however, the studies. So, and Saladino advocates for like a very primal lifestyle, and Norton says whether you're primal or whether you're modern doesn't matter because there's science to support whatever, this thing or this thing. Like, for example, I've believed for a long time that just because, from what I've heard, that aspartame is really not good for you, right? It's in the diet sodas. It's an artificial sweetener, and it causes cancer. And I've believed that for several years, and then recently Norton posted on his Instagram several studies confirming that aspartame has no negative long-term effects on humans. And to be precise, I'm going to pull up his Instagram and read some of the notes because this is why I'm like naturally drawn towards what Saladino says about primal lifestyle. Like, I like the idea of primal lifestyle. I think a lot of people are drawn to it. It seems natural. It seems better for you. And then Mr. or Dr. Lane, Dr. Lane Norton he's like saying scientifically these artificial things aren't bad for us. Okay, so in his there was a post he posted this 1 week ago. The cover picture says aspartame effects on obesity and diabetes related metabolic markers from research review in 2018. Anyway, some of what he says in his caption, he says a 2018 meta-analysis investigated the effects of aspartame compared to control, which is water. Aspartame consumption did not adversely affect blood glucose, insulin, or cholesterol compared to control, water. Interestingly, aspartame consumption was associated with a reduction in weight and improved HDL cholesterol. Isn't that crazy? Drinking soda with artificial sweeteners may actually have some benefit. Because drinking an artificial sweetener that has 0 calories it can satiate your cravings for real sugar, which has calories, which makes people gain weight and become diabetic. Anyway, my point is the health world, there is so much debate in the health world regarding what's best for humans to do and to eat. But my overall, I will say this, the goddess of health to me right now, her name is Kayla Barnes, and she's on Instagram too. My girlfriend actually showed her to me, and she, again, I might be drawn to this approach of how to be a healthy person. We jumped right into the podcast. I don't even think you were aware that we've already started the podcast, but we're rolling. We're going on health. We're talking about our health. She shares very succinct and simple. I guess they're like little wisdoms on our health. Her Instagram handle is Kayla Barnes, KaylaBarnes, Brain Health Plus Biohacking. That's in her description, or whatever. So, for example, I love her post, but here, for example, she talks about she says she's a brain coach, certified brain health coach. She has a podcast called Brain Biohacking that I have not listened to. She has posts on life, what to do if you're unhappy. Let's see. I'm trying to find her food ones, her brain health ones. Habits for a healthy brain. More nutritious foods, healthy fats, mental rest, gratitude, movement, water, sleep, love. Less processed foods, sedentary time, screen time, isolation, sugar, anger. Let's see what else. Brain plus optimal health foods. This is from June 25th. Wild or organic berries, wild-caught salmon, cooked dark leafy greens, not kale. Healthy fats like ghee, organic olive oil, avocado, MCT oil, cacao, organ meats, pastured eggs, oysters, turmeric, organic herbs, especially green herbs like cilantro, parsley, oregano, rosemary, and thyme. And the part of the clash between her and Saladino even is Saladino says no vegetables, no leafy greens. His argument is they come from the part of the plant that doesn't want to be eaten. It produces defense chemicals that fuck with our stomachs, our bodily functions, our systems. And even more than that, foods like meat and organs and bone marrow and fruits and honey and raw dairy are more nutritious and are more bioavailable. The nutrients are more bioavailable than than vegetables and leafy greens, seeds, seed oils. And Kayla Barnes she's tons about less or zero seed oils. let's see, how to actually get healthy, nutrient-dense foods, calories as information, not just calories, grounding, strength training plus low-level movement, sunshine, deep sleep, simplifying life instead of complicating it. Yeah, I highly recommend you follow her. Her posts are awesome. Kidney health. Oh, not kidney. Kindness. Kindness as a health check. Kindness can increase oxytocin, increase self-esteem, increase serotonin, dopamine. It releases endorphins, decreases cortisol, decreases blood pressure. Anyway, so my health advice or my health tips don't really come from books. They haven't come from books, but I've been pretty proactive on social media to finding and following advice from these quote unquote health gurus or people who are trying to promote well-being and good health. And tons of different opinions. Extremists like Saladino, and then on the opposite end, I think I would consider Norton an extremist because he's just like hard science, hard facts. And then Kayla Barnes, kind of in the middle, and she advocates a lot for both, like nutrient-dense food, but also for she talks, some greens and some different oils, like what? Okay, anyway, but she also promotes things like plenty of sunshine, which Saladino talks about. Plenty of sunshine, grounding, which Liver King talks about. Getting your feet on the ground and or being on the earth, not just on cement or on carpet all the time, but getting grounded on the earth. Did I say plenty of sleep? Plenty of sleep is and like really deep sleep, high quality sleep, which Andrew Huberman talks about. He had an awesome post. I'm just going to share it, and because this is going to be like a 2-hour episode, I'm guessing. Huberman Lab. Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist. He had a post. It was just very straightforward how to get excellent sleep. Let me see if I can. Might have been a while ago, though. When was this one? May? No, that's too far. Well, okay, so this one, this was, actually 2 days ago. I don't know if this is the same one. Research supported steps for being an early riser? No. But here's how you can get really good sleep. Here's what you should do if you want to get really good sleep. Maximize early day sunlight. No caffeine or naps post 3 p.m. Minimize post 8 p.m. light exposure. Exercise within 2 hours of waking. Go to bed 2 hours earlier. Wake up 2 hours earlier. Here's another one from Huberman. 25 plus quality papers and reviews converge on the fact that increasing natural light exposure, especially in the first 1 to 3 hours of the day, plus limiting bright artificial light from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. can improve mood, offset myopia, improve glucose tolerance, testosterone, estrogen, and melatonin profiles. And that reminds me of an excellent quote from one of the very first books that we read called Irresistible, and I have to find it. Oh, I actually don't know if I wrote it in my notes, though, unfortunately. I may have just read it from the book, but remember the quote from chapter 2 chapter 3, beginning of chapter 3. What the negative side effects of chronic sleep deprivation. It basically contributes to all illnesses and psychological and physical unwellness, and healthy, good quality sleep can significantly improve quality of life, just like he was saying. Improve mood, offset myopia, improve glucose tolerance, testosterone, estrogen, and anyway. So, neuroscientist, I'll take his word for it on what we can do as a brain expert, what we can do to improve our psychological health. So health is it's just like a and then you will go into exercise. Like there's so many different exercise protocols to follow, how to exercise. And here's what I'm going to say about exercise really fast. Exercise is fundamental to overall health, and not all exercise is the same. And I don't know all of the science. In fact, I barely know any of the science, but I'll tell you that everyone who is advocating for health, for good health, is advocating for daily exercise. So I have a group message with some friends. We challenge each other and we push each other to be healthy and to exercise and to do right for ourselves. And half of the, or most of the conversation is what we're doing. We submit our exercises, and then we sometimes will chit chat about why we do what we do and what our goals are when we exercise. And so here's been my goal for exercise for the last year-ish. It started out February 2021. I followed the keto diet, or the keto program, to get jacked. Basically, it was a very selfish intention, but it put me on a diet where I was just on I was in a pretty strict calorie deficit plus weight training. Strict strength, traditional strength training, lifting barbells, weights, whatever. No real cardio. I was cleaning carpets at the time, so I was getting cardio, but anyway. And I did that for several. I actually did the whole program twice, and I lost a good amount of weight, and I started building muscle mass, and then I transformed, or I started doing more kind of CrossFit work where I just started throwing kettlebells around, and I've loved it and have been doing it ever since. So my exercise, and I've been running too. I've been training for these races. And honestly, I have my Spartan race on Saturday, and it's going to be a bitch, and we're going to show up and do it. And then after that, I'm doing the half marathon on Saturday and a 5K on Sunday. And I think after the half, or after the 5K, I'm going to take a hiatus on running, because I'll talk about later. I don't think training for races or doing races is really contributing to my long-term goals. So, but I'm going to talk about that later. So, but anyway, my exercises these days, my buddy introduced or showed me a guy named Adriel something. Adriel Mays. And his Instagram handle is Every Got Damn Dre. EveryGotDamnDre. And he's a savage, man. His exercise philosophy focuses on overall strength training plus mobility. It's not or strength or mobility. It's his pin post is called Strength and Mobility. So it's almost all kettlebells, basically all kettlebells, and he does tons of okay, so this is the kind of exercise I'm really attracted to for a few reasons. One, I feel really strong lifting heavy kettlebells. Two, I feel when you offset your body by doing, instead of curling a barbell with both your hands like this on a straight bar, when you take two kettlebells or you take one kettlebell in one arm and you do like a clean and then a twist and then a bend, you're doing a whole bunch of different shit for your body. That contributes. It just contributes to overall functionability, and also it goes hand in hand with my strict stretching mobility training or protocol, which is hot yoga twice a week at least. So I do yoga. So my exercise goals really, I want to be strong and mobile when I'm 90, right? I want to be able, I read something on the internet when early on I was figuring out the difference between functional training and traditional training, and traditional training, or rather functional training, I remember reading from the website, it was like, are you going to be able to carry groceries up a flight of stairs when you're 80? And doing functional training like holding something and doing box steps, or pulling a sled, or pushing a sled, or throwing kettlebells around all different ways is a form of functional training. And traditional strength training is more designed for performance in, okay, it builds muscle in a different way. Like you could target specific areas of your body to grow muscle, but it's not, there's very little is functionability a word? I keep saying it. I don't even know if it's a word, but there's little function by just, curling a dumbbell. But when you're doing okay, so a better example I think is you could do like the lat pull downs at a lat machine. You could do lat machine pull downs, or you can do bent over kettlebell rows, offset or straightforward. You can do 2 kettlebells. You can do 1 kettlebell one side. Anyway. So here's the point, and this is not that podcast. I'm just saying the point is one form of exercise isn't better than another. They just, like, all exercise does different stuff for you. They're functional training, traditional training, cardio, building your endurance cardiovascularly, aerobic exercise, mobility exercise. Like there's tons of different ways to work out, but you got to know what you want to do. What are your long-term goals? So like I said, maybe I'll just kind of talk about it now. I've been training for these Spartan races, which include running through mountains and doing obstacles like jumping over barriers and doing monkey bars, different variations of monkey bars, and carrying buckets over your head around things, and just really, it's a lot of hard work, and I love it. But it's well, I guess the part of the reason why I'm saying I might not want to pursue it is because it takes it, like, this whole week before I go do the race. I'm trying to dial back my exercise so I don't hurt myself before the race, because I have done that. I did that last November. I got to be, I got to be prepared. I guess all I'm trying to say is it takes a lot of attention and focus to do well at the race, and my end goal is not to be a fantastic or the best Spartan racer. I'm mostly doing it for the challenge and with my friends, and because I've done it in the past, and I want to do this trifecta this year. Get a trifecta, do 3 races, and anyway, it's just like, it takes a lot of time and focus when I could be putting that towards other exercise goals. And really, when it comes to my exercise, I'm not training for anything specific. I'm not trying to be the best at anything. In fact, I would rather spend more time golfing or playing pickleball than I would training for a Spartan race. Honestly, this is part of my long-term health plan. Is I like to golf, I like to play pickleball, I like to play tennis. Those are my physical sports that I enjoy. I want to be better at that than I want to be better at a Spartan race or better at an endurance race. That's just the truth. So I'm going to do this race. I've been training for it, and then I'm going to focus my attention on something that is more important to me, like tennis, like pickleball, like golf, whatever. So that's that. So my physical training, I still love to throw kettlebells because I want to be strong, and my vanity wants to be attractive. So I'd like to. I'm still learning about cutting and bulking and diet. I'm trying to do well by my body. I had colitis a few years ago. I had terrible colitis flares, so I want to be smart on my consumption. I've been fortunate where I haven't had flares, but my girlfriend also has colitis. She has Crohn's, so we are super conscious about what we eat. We slip a lot all the time. Just a lot of everybody slips. We slip. We eat shitty food. just want to be long term. I want to be healthy in my gut. I want to be healthy in my brain. I want to be I want to have tons of energy, and I want to be strong. I want to look good, and I want to be loose and nimble. I want to be able to carry groceries up a flight of stairs when I'm 80 years old. I want to do box steps. But I don't care to be the fastest runner. I don't care to be the fastest Spartan races. I want to play pickleball when I'm 80. I want to play tennis. I want to be able to go on hikes when I'm older. I don't want to fuck my knees up because I've been running 13 miles in a mountain. But also, people like Cameron Hanes and David Goggins who run ultra marathons, 50 miles, 75 miles, 100 miles, have fucked up knees, but they just keep doing it anyway. So, having fucked up knees it won't always end your career, but I would just rather have good knees when I'm older. I already have one bad knee. I've had a bad knee my whole life. I've Osgood slaughter in a knee. So, that's health. That's what I've learned with my health for the last year. Over a year. I guess I started my exercise program in February, and then I revamped this podcast in June of last year, or July, or June. Shit, what was that first one posted? What did I say? June? Monday morning. Yeah, June 2021. So I have that. I started in February, and I was listening to Rogan, and I was getting pumped up, and I realized I care about posting content and being helpful and doing well by you, like sharing helpful information, being inspiring, being entertaining. So I want to do this podcast. It keeps me accountable. And yeah, so that's health. That's what I've learned with health over the last year plus. Wealth. Let's go to wealth. And I might be a little more brief when it comes to the wealth because of a few reasons. Let me get some water. Oh. Yeah. So wealth, baby, wealth. Wealth is kind of it's also I don't have as many notes because the wealth books, like here's my philosophy on wealth. What do you want $1 million? Do you want financial freedom, or do you want a steady income? When it comes to my wealth, what I need to realize, or what I need to bring about, is I have to reach a point where I have enough income generating assets that pay for my bills and pay for my life, pay for all my life expenses, and leaves me with a little spending cash that requires zero amount of my time. And I've gotten these ideas from books like The 4-Hour Workweek by Timothy Ferriss, and what other ones? Are there other books that... Let me go to my notes. 4-Hour Workweek that's the biggest one. And then most of the other books are like skills to implement in your business, how to be a good leader. Rich Dad, Poor Dad shares the same message, though, as the 4-Hour Workweek, where he says, don't save and live below your means. He says, live within the means that you want and learn how to make enough money to pay for your means. And I love that philosophy. Because if you're going to be a little bit selfish, and part of my wealth goals are selfish. I guess all goals are kind of selfish because you want to accomplish something, and it requires a bit of selfishness, right? So the reason I need to have enough income generating assets to cover my life expenses that require zero daily labor from myself is because at some point I want to have kids, and I want to get married, and I want to raise a family, and I don't want to be absent for my family because I have work to do. And that's a selfish thing to say. It's kind of naive because I know, I grew up in a family where dad wasn't present a lot because he was working really fucking hard to pay for his family. And that's just like the culture. That's just like the life. That's just life. People work really hard to pay for the bills. And I actually think the reality is very few people have enough income generating assets to pay all the bills that require no daily labor. So I think that's kind of an arrogant. I think it's kind of arrogant and selfish, but it's what I want. And I got to be honest. It's what I want. It's what I need. I need to bring that about. So a lot of my books have been books like The Intelligent Investor, 80/20 Sales and Marketing, The E-Myth, the Buddha and the Badass, Dare to Lead, Increase Your Financial IQ. All of these have been with the intention to create income generating assets. I think I have my goal pretty specific for my wealth. Have enough income generating assets to pay for my bills that requires zero of my time in daily labor. I haven't really even the position I'm at in that pursuit is I have a business. I have a carpet cleaning business that I work on every day, and I am I'm just trying to implement the rules and the processes, the procedures, the systems that all these books are teaching to create a business that is self-sustaining. Like the E-Myth Worldwide by Michael Gerber is probably the foundation for this process. To have the business operate without you showing up, and that's basically flawless on all levels. And a lot of books echo that principle, like Traction. Traction was basically a copycat. Buddha and the Badass is the same. And then 80/20 Sales and Marketing is like skills on how to improve certain areas. So I don't know what's going to happen with my finances. And I honestly, to be completely honest, I don't put enough attention into this area to as much attention as I want to bring about this goal sooner. It's I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like day by day doing the bare minimum. And some days I'm really going after it. And I think that's just like most things. I'm just trying to be really honest. I want to set up my carpet cleaning business to be fully self-sustaining and kick ass, and everybody loves it and everyone's happy. And then I am removed from the picture and I collect a check. And I want to do that, I don't know, a dozen more times, create a dozen more businesses, or invest in a dozen more things that are doing the same thing. At the end of the day, it's not about the money, it's about the freedom that comes with money. So this and the freedom that comes with money, this is something that this is why the book Do Nothing by Celeste Headlee is still so at the front of my mind, because she's if you don't remember, go back and listen to her episode. She talks a ton about, if you want to live a happy life, here's what you need to do, X, Y, and Z. And I'll share some of her notes. And I think the premise of her book is you need to spend more time doing what you love, less time doing what you don't love, or don't do that at all. And we live in a world where you have to work, you have to pay the bills, and a lot of things aren't fair. But the point is, you are in control of your life. You're accountable to yourself, and you got to do everything you can that's in your power to set yourself up. And I have there's a philosophy that we'll talk about when we get to this peace and purpose section. But the point is, you're accountable to yourself, really. And for me, I'm privileged, and I'm lucky, and I'm grateful that I am in the position that I'm in, so that I can try to do this. As a 26-year-old, who's been very fortunate throughout my entire life. I want to set myself up, and then I want to help other people set themselves up. I just want to help improve everybody's lives. That's why I do this fucking podcast I'm doing it to help myself, and then I want to share what I'm learning to help you as well, so you can improve every area of your life. So when it comes to wealth, this is what I'm talking about. Create enough income generating assets to pay for all your bills, all of my bills that require zero daily labor from myself. And good morning, mashed potatoes. Wow, my guy is wearing a suit. Yeah, it's a special day. It's a special episode. You have to start it from the beginning. We're almost an hour in. So yeah, I got a necktie, and my back is really sweaty already, and I got a jacket, and I'm not taking it off because this is very special episode. So that's what we've learned with wealth over the last year is I've established my long-term goal, and now I'm trying to create short-term systems, short-term goals to bring that about. And probably the biggest thing I neglect in this pursuit is daily counsel, or just counsel in general, from people who've done what I'm trying to pursue, that have done what I'm trying to do. My dad is my closest mentor, and he's done what I'm trying to do, and I want I think the dynamic, father to son dynamic will go just so far. And then also there's part of my ego wants to make my dad and my family proud by doing that, like showing him that I'm capable of doing it without like his gimmies or hand-me-downs or whatever. Mashed potatoes. Did I miss the Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck recap? Because I read it on my drive, and it's changed my life. I haven't talked about that book specifically yet today, but I did a podcast on it. We did that. Let's see. We did the Subtle Art, we did it a long time ago. Maybe not that long ago. When did we do it? Subtle Art March of this year. I haven't talked about it today yet, though. I'm talking about my wealth goals and what I've learned. So anyway, I have my business, and my business is improving, and I'm making improvements by applying lessons that I've learned through these books that I otherwise wouldn't have learned. But where I'm struggling is I know that I need to spend more time with a mentor and getting lessons and implementing real life advice from a person who can look at my business and look at my situation and then apply their advice, like really tailored advice. And I haven't done that. So, and I'm aware of it, and I know I need to, and I should. So that I think that covers the wealth goals, though. When it comes to wealth, again, just like health, there's lots of different approaches to it. There's tons of different ways to live your life. And this, all I'm doing is explaining how I want to live my life and what I'm doing to try to get there. If your wealth goals are to have a diversified portfolio and a steady job until you're 65 and then retire, then that's awesome, because the pros to that is you're given it's like a sense of security for the long haul. And a lot of the risk that comes with creating income generating assets is there is a lot of risk that you investing money into a business or into anything, and then it doesn't work and you lose a lot of money. That's a big risk. And the crazier the risk, the crazier the reward, or the crazier the loss. So there's a sense of security by not pursuing not investing, not being self-sustaining, not being self-employed or entrepreneurial. There's a sense of security that comes by working with or for somebody and not taking crazy risks. Anyway, that's you get to decide how you want to live. I'm explaining how I want to live my life, where I'm going with my wealth goals. So I think that really covers it, though, a lot. And then a lot of the, like I said, a lot of the books include skills that I can implement in my business and in my life to realize this goal that I have. Yeah. And some books are awesome and some books suck, just like in every other aspect. So let's move on. This is what I'm most excited about. We're not going to talk about wisdom or the wisdom and peace and behavior sections. They're kind of scattered. You know, it was hard to categorize them. We're going to focus mostly on, I have a whole section for peace and a whole section for purpose. So let's get to it. And like I tried to explain, these areas are, when I went through all of my notes, my previous notes, these are I've tried, and I know I missed probably some of the gold mines, and maybe I'm not categorizing things as well as I could. I'm doing the best I can. The point is that I'm trying, right? And I think I did a really good job. I'm really excited about this. Like, while I was compiling it, I get really inspired by these messages. It's been a year of reading and notes and contemplating and discussing on this podcast, and now it feels like it's coming together in a really cool way. It's not complete. It's still pretty open-ended, and we're gonna go for another year of reading books and hammering in these points. So anyway, let's go through peace. I think the beyond your health and beyond your wealth, everybody, I'm gonna assume everybody wants to feel a sense of peace and a sense of purpose. So they kind of dictate everything that we experience in life. This is my philosophy. Peace and purpose are like the pinnacle of the human experience. So, and again, just like everything else, peace and purpose look different for everybody, but there are general rules to follow and really I don't want to say generic advice, but it's pretty open for interpretation how you apply the advice from all of these books. So I'm just going to go through the notes just like it's a book that I made. Peace. Happiness does not equal peace. Probably the biggest lesson, one of the biggest lessons I've learned. Happiness does not equal peace. Happiness comes from doing what nature requires. This is what Marcus Aurelius says, Anna Lemsky, Robert Sapolsky. Happiness is a result of fulfilling our biological requirements. When we're hungry, when we have sex, when we are social, we feel quote unquote dopamine. Don't they say dopamine is the happiness hormone? So when we do things that our biology likes, we feel happiness. And when we do things that our biology doesn't like when we get kicked out of our friend groups, or when we are bullied, or fired from your job, or divorced, you feel sad feelings, you feel bad things, and those are what our isolation and pain. Our body doesn't like these things, and we feel bad, right? Peace, on the other hand, peace is, let's see if I can find a quote before I give my interpretation. Part of experiencing inner peace is giving up your desire for happiness. Finding peace includes sitting with your discomforts without being perturbed by them. Peace is it's like a sense of relief or acceptance and awareness of the sorrow and also of the pleasure that you experience without being identified by it. Identity, I don't even know if I made any notes about identity, but identity is, this probably would go under meditation, or my meditation area section, or maybe the suffering section. But when we identify with anything, this is part of our ego. We become attached to something, and then especially to something that's not in our control. When we become identified to something not in our control, then we have lost control of our sense of peace and well-being. Because if you're like a world-class athlete, and then you identify as a world-class athlete, when you lose, you're devastated and you don't feel peace. But if you don't identify with your identity, if you don't identify with your, your labels, then you can't be hurt by them. Anyway, so peace does not equal happiness. Happiness is what satisfies our biology, and peace is what we feel when we disconnect from our identity and accept things the way they are. Awareness and virtues like patience and integrity. Discomforts suck, so we seek distractions, and now our world has too many distractions. Boredom isn't good or bad, it's how we respond to boredom. I love this principle of boredom and distractions because I feel like our entire lives, and I'm going to write this in my notes, our entire lives is centered around finding distractions. And the quality of our distractions dictates the quality of our lives. So meaning, if you have shitty distractions, you're going to have a shitty life. And what is a shitty distraction? Drugs and porn, or just addiction, like letting your addictions consume you anyway. Whatever your addiction is, it could be a long list of things. It is a long list of things. Being consumed by your addiction, by holding on to identities, by numbing, by looking for things to numb our feelings. These are shitty distractions. Better distractions, good distractions look like challenges. Usually it looks like exercise is a good distraction. And you got to note that any good thing can be a bad thing. You can be addicted to exercise. You could be addicted to healthy eating and addicted to being, just like to self-improvement. And it can cause a lot of problems for your life. But generically, if you have a healthy relationship with these things, exercise is a great distraction. So is social clubs. I include religion inside social clubs. What else are reading and being productive and working on your business and working on yourself and habits. Having really good relationships, being healthy, having healthy relationships. Sorry, I cannot take that call. But at the end of it, we live life, and when we're not being stimulated, we're bored. And boredom is an inherently uncomfortable feeling, and we try to fill the void by doing shit. And the quality of the shit that we do determines the quality of our life. That's my philosophy. Quote, "The cure to numbing is developing tools and practices that allow you to lean into discomfort and renew your spirit." That's from Brené Brown. Pursue what is meaningful, not what is expedient. Jordan Peterson's fourth rule in his book of 12 rules. Quote, we constantly try to distract ourselves from the present moment to be entertained. Close quote from Anna Lemsky. It's fun to see all the common ideas come together and how they apply to us generically as people, and then how you can apply it to yourself specifically. We distract ourselves from the present moment to be entertained. True happiness is accomplished by living virtuously. This reminds me of you know what? And while I'm here, I'm not gonna just keep misreferencing it. I'm gonna figure out who came up with the virtue hierarchy. Ethics and the hierarchy of, I think it's mostly a hierarchy of needs. It's Maslow. Oh, and I referenced Maslow later too. Let's see. Well, this top answer from the BBC.com says, in 1943, the U.S. psychologist Abraham Maslow published a paper called A Theory of Human Motivation, in which he said that people have 5 sets of needs, which come in a particular order. As each level of needs is satisfied, the desire to fulfill the next kicks in. What are these 5? Is this inappropriate to look up what the 5? Oh, shit. Here we go. 1, psychological needs. Your brain. I think that's your emotional state, stability, your psychological stability. 2, safety. 3, social. 4, esteem. 5, self-actualization. How would you describe self-actualization? Self-actualization is described as the realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potentialities. The realization or fulfillment of one's talents and potentialities, especially considered as a drive or need present in everyone. Awesome. I wish I would have looked this up sooner, because this goes right into what I talk about in just a little bit. Yeah, Maslow's. Okay. So, where did I leave off? Yes, a hierarchy. We have a hierarchy of needs. We have a hierarchy of, and consequently should create a hierarchy of virtues. And then later on, I'll talk about a hierarchy of goals as well. But hierarchies are so important, and I'll reiterate why hierarchies are important. Because if you don't understand which thing you value more than the other, you won't be able to progress, and you'll when you're confronted between one or the other, you won't know what to do. And it's important to know where you value, like this Maslow's hierarchy. The first one is psychological needs. The second is safety needs. But if you valued your safety needs before your psychological needs, you're gonna halt your progress, your ability to move forward or to be a healthy person. If your psychological needs, if you're a torture subject, but you have safe housing, you're still going to be miserable, right? But if you're in a psychologically safe place, then you can focus on your physical needs, getting clothes, getting shelter, getting food, this and that. And then you can work on your social relationships. But if you're psychologically unwell and you don't have your safety needs met, how can you work on your social needs, which is the third level? How can you work on your relationships, right? Hierarchies are important for this reason. You have to understand what's fundamental and then build on this. And then when you're if you're at this Maslow's pyramid, if you're confronted with a psychological need conflict with a safety need, like You either get a divorce, like, okay, you're in an unhealthy relationship or you're about to lose your house. Which one is more important? At the fundamental level, your relationship and your psychological well-being is more important than your safety, your home. According to this principle, this hierarchy, you have to have your psychological needs figured out before you can start to improve everything else. Same thing goes for your virtues. Virtues are important because if you value being helpful in the community, but you also value quality time with your family, then you're going to sacrifice one for the other sometimes. And when you're confronted with going to your daughter's piano recital or volunteering at the food pantry, you have to know which one is more important to you, or it's self-sabotage. It's very critical. You have to know, do I value supporting my family more, or do I value supporting my community more? This is value hierarchy. Very important. And all of this takes contemplation. You have to you can't just figure out your virtues as you go. I guess you can a little bit, but to figure this out, the healthiest and the quickest, you have to spend time contemplating, writing everything out, talking about it and thinking about it, and then doing it and choosing a virtue over another virtue and see how that makes you feel. Because if you choose going to your daughter's piano recital over going to the community and you feel like shit, you probably value going to the food pantry more than you value your family. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's just how some people are. And I guess this is a very specific example that doesn't relate to anybody that I'm talking about, or that I'm not talking about anyone specifically. But the point is the same. You have to understand what you value more, but you have to try. You have to try things, and you have to think about how things make you feel. Oh, I love all these notes. So that's a virtue hierarchy. Seneca's the one that said true happiness is accomplished by living virtuously. I took down Ryan Holiday's 4 virtues. He's writing 4 books about 4 virtues. His top 4 virtues are wisdom, temperance, justice, and courage. And I don't know if they're in that order of importance, but that's just how I wrote them down. Wisdom, temperance, justice, courage. Rather than asking what happiness do you want in your life, what happiness do you want in your life, ask what pain do you want in your life. This is from The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. There you go, mashed potatoes. There's a reference. Don't ask what happiness you want in your life. Ask what suffering, what pain do you want in your life. What are you willing to bear? What metaphorical crosses are you willing to bear in your life? Here's my money philosophy to help bring peace. This is still under the peace umbrella. Don't save money and live beneath your means. I already shared this, I guess. Live within and beyond your means and learn how to make enough money for it. However, here's the philosophy, and this is what's most important, I think. Crave and desire less. Crave and desire less. Learn how to be comfortable with what you have. I didn't write who said this, but desiring less equals more freedom. So it takes, I have an expensive taste. I like to buy expensive furniture, and when I pursue a hobby like this podcast, I go and buy a ton of equipment, and I spend a lot of money really fast. And then I do it sometimes with some things, and then I don't ever use it. Like the Wave Runners. I bought Wave Runners not because I love wave running. It was for this desire I had to spend time with my friends and impress my friends, and it was a stupid decision. I spend money kind of impulsively, and I think a lot of people do with some things. But the point is, if you desire less, if you crave less, you'll spend less, and this inherently allows you to require less money for your overall expenses. Like, do you have for your TV subscriptions. Do you have $150 of TV subscriptions, or do you have $50, or do you have $10? Like what are what do you crave, and how can you mitigate your cravings? How can you control your desires and control your compulsion? So, because I have, like, I subscribe to Netflix, I subscribe to Paramount and to YouTube TV, and every time I turn on, or even right now as I'm saying this, I think, do I really need any of those? And the reason I subscribe to all of them is because Netflix gives me Stranger Things, Paramount Plus gives me Yellowstone and Survivor, and YouTube TV gives me tennis and some other whatever, but tennis is what I've been watching. Wimbledon, it's been awesome. But do I need? Can I live? Can I? Like, if I desired or craved things less, I would spend less, which would mean I don't need to make as much. It's the philosophy, and I think it's really important. It goes with food. It goes with all forms of entertainment. It goes for your clothing. It goes for your cars. If you don't crave the newest iPhone, then you'll be content with your iPhone 10 until it breaks. Or if you subdue, is subdue the right word? If you give in to your cravings, every year you're going to buy the new iPhone. And it's overconsumption, it's compulsive, and it's unnecessary. And it's expensive. It's very expensive. Learning to be satisfied with what you have, to make do with what you have, to crave less, and to desire less equals more freedom. Mashed Potato says, we all have problems. Some people have better problems than others. I love that. The Hobo and Warren Buffett both have money problems. Warren Buffett just has better money problems. All with exclamation points, he says. So I assume he's yelling as he types this. We all have problems, but some people have better problems than others. Absolutely. Yeah, that's an awesome, and that's from The Subtle Art, isn't it? The Hobo and Warren Buffett both have money problems, but Warren Buffett just has better money problems. And, I have money problems, but that are different than your money problems, that are different than my girlfriend's money problems, right? We all have problems. Do we run away from our problems, or do we face them and figure them out and take care of them? Nice. Thanks for that. Okay, so still under the umbrella of peace, I have notes about suffering. Living involves suffering. To live is to suffer. Here are some tips when suffering. Mark Manson says, and I think this comes from The Subtle Art as well, pain is inevitable. Suffering is a choice. So, and I said it's important to differentiate pain and suffering. Pain is the uncontrollable, or the what's the word? We don't get to control, or we don't have any power over the pain that comes over our lives, like loved ones dying, or losing a job when you were really good at your job, or whatever. There's certain involuntary forms of suffering or pain, things we can't control, is different than how we respond to the pain that we experience. So it's a tragic example, but considering the death of a loved one is inherently a shitty experience. But how we respond to that shitty experience is what determines suffering. This is the philosophy behind suffering. We feel shitty when shitty things happen, but do we respond the same? Do we respond shitty? So, I'm losing my train of thought. I'm trying to get back on track. I'm going to take some water really fast. Very dry mouth. Yeah, I think that's the point. Shitty things happen to everybody, and when they happen to you, how do you respond? So, this one with under suffering is wow, I'm struggling. I'm having a massive brain fart. I'm really sorry. It's important to differentiate pain. Have I made my point? Am I having an aneurysm right now? Am I having a stroke? I think I'm okay. How do you respond to suffering determines, or how do you respond to pain determines your suffering. It's hard to think about suffering being a choice, but I guess I get the philosophy that if a shitty thing happens to you and you mope around about it, you're going to live in this state of suffering, which sucks. But if you could choose to do things to improve your situation, which mitigate the pain you feel and allow you to respond positively. Advice when suffering: focus on what is in your control. It's usually less than what you think. Focusing on what you're at the bare minimum, you can always control how you respond physically and mentally. You can't always respond how you respond emotionally, because I think that emotions are a consequence of external circumstance, and you don't control what happens to you. Therefore, you don't control the emotions that happen, like someone slapping your wife. You will feel anger, and you can't control the anger that you feel, but you can control how you respond physically and mentally. So, and that's, at the core, that's pretty much all you can control. That's pretty much the only thing you can control. How you respond to a situation, and to how you respond to how you feel. But it is fundamental. It is imperative to overcoming suffering, or to enduring pain well. We endure voluntary suffering to be stronger for involuntary suffering. We put our bodies and our minds through strenuous activity like exercise and reading and discipline, so that when shitty things happen, like Viktor Frankl becoming a prisoner at a concentration camp, is able to bear the shitty experience well. The Stoic philosophy, amor fati, is the love of fate. It's acceptance of what things are and loving it as it happens. Again, that's attitude. How you respond to fate. How you respond to things as they happen. Amor fati. Make good use of suffering in order to create happiness. From Thich Nhat Hanh. Make good use of suffering in order to create happiness. Life is meaningful and purposeful when you remain resilient through your suffering. From Viktor Frankl. It is meaningful and purposeful when you remain resilient through your suffering. And resilience is a huge principle, or might be a top tier virtue to obtain. Resilience, because resilience, it goes hand in hand with grit and endurance, but it's in this context, it is an emotional, or it's a psychological response. It's not just showing up to do hard work like going to the gym every day. It's mental resilience is overcoming hardship. Like when hard things happen to you, you don't respond negatively in your mind. That's mental resilience. Life is meaningful and purposeful when you remain resilient through your suffering. I have some notes on meditation. Again, this is still under the umbrella of peace. Meditation isn't about clearing your mind. It's about observing your mind. We mitigate suffering by being present in the moment. There's the principle that there is oneness in the world, in the universe, and our bodies and our minds are a product. Here's a different way to look at it. Our spirits occupy this body, and our body is temporary, but our spirit, or our mind, is eternal. This is the oneness. And when you focus on the future, or when you focus on the past, you are emboldening your ego rather than being centered and selfless in the present moment. And Aurelius is the one that said this. We mitigate suffering by being present in the moment. When you focus on right now, rather than what happened yesterday or in the past, or focusing on what's going to happen in the future, you mitigate suffering. You're just the shit that happens in your life. You mitigate it. Especially you mitigate how you feel about circumstances when you focus on the present. When you focus on the right now. We should not ignore our thoughts or cravings. We should contemplate them to understand them. Yes, this is another meditation. So meditation centers you on the present moment. It allows you to be centered and focused, and it also allows you to didn't make a yeah. When you pure meditation or deep meditation looks like this. So take this principle of your mind is separate from your body, and you are your mind, or you're the spirit that occupies the body, and you're not your body. So when you meditate, you observe the thoughts, the involuntary thoughts that come into your brain. You observe the physical condition of your body from an outsider's perspective, like third person view. You're looking at your body like it isn't you. You're looking at your thoughts like they aren't you. Again, I talked about identity earlier. When you detach from identity, you are not your body and you are not your thoughts. You are a product of how you respond to your body and to your thoughts. What you do. That's your spirit. That's who you are. So meditation allows for you to contemplate how you feel about things, what you think about things, or what your body feels and thinks about things. And then you get to decide how to respond about those things later on as you approach them or as they come about. But meditation allows you to be centered, and it allows you to contemplate how you feel and what you think. Don't run from painful emotions. Learn to tolerate them. That's from Anna Lemsky. Her book had a lot to do with addiction. But in this context, when you feel shitty things, instead of pushing them away or shoving them down, it's important to embrace them, because you don't identify with the mistakes that you made or the shitty things people do to you. You don't identify with them. They still feel bad. Like I said, you can't control your emotions as they come in, but you can observe them and decide how to respond. This is like top level awareness. But it's critical for well-being and overcoming suffering. It's critical to be able to observe the shitty things that happen to you and then know how to make good decisions from the shitty things. Viktor Frankl says, optimism in the face of tragedy allows for an optimism. In one of our recent books, I think it was Grit with Miss Duckworth. Optimism is the opposite to pessimism, and life is better when you're optimistic. You have a better mental frame when you're optimistic. So in this regard of you only can control your thoughts and actions. So try to be optimistic. Be optimistic. And Frankl says when you're optimistic, you allow for turning suffering into a human achievement or accomplishment. You derive from guilt the opportunity to change oneself from the better. You feel guilty about doing something wrong. And when you're optimistic, you decide, yes, I get to change and do something better. And optimism also allows for deriving from life's transitoriness an incentive to take responsible action. And transitoriness is the definition here is not permanent. Very simple. Deriving from life's non-permanence and incentive to take responsible action. This is what optimism does. It's better to have a good attitude. It's how you overcome suffering. It's how you endure suffering well. More importantly, it's how you endure it well. Feeling fear isn't bad. It's how we respond. Yes. Okay. I love all of these notes, and I love how they all come together. This is peace, how to experience peace, how to endure suffering, and what meditation does. Moving on, purpose. Because it's essential also in life. Life is, like I said, the two fundamental. I feel like I've said fundamental a lot today, but I don't give a fuck. So it's the two core human experiences for like optimal well-being is to feel peace and to feel purpose. This is where I'm headed. This is like my philosophy. So Nietzsche says, to start off purpose, he who has a why can bear almost any how. And actually, I kind of feel like that fits better under the peace, but it works. Again, like I said, they kind of it all ties together. But he who has a why can bear almost any how. Your purpose is your why. Lakhiani says, he's the one that did Buddha and the Badass, Vishen Lakhiani. According to Maslow, and remember Maslow, the 5 hierarchy of needs. According to Maslow, after a person's psychological and safety needs are met, what actually matters to a person is, in Lakhiani's words, love and belonging, self-esteem, self-actualization, self-transcendence. In Maslow's words, after physiological and safety, it is social needs, your esteem, and actualization. So beyond that, I said basic physical and psychological, I should say physiological, so I'm consistent, needs. Those are first, the fundamentals. Then, there's fundamentals again. Then you can focus on improving your health, wealth, wisdom, peace. So my podcast, it goes on and on about, I go on and on about health, wealth, wisdom, peace. But those things, and actually my stepmom brought this up, and she's super wise, and she said this last week. She says, I love what you're trying to do here, and it seems like you can only improve those 4 things after your basic needs are met. And there's a lot of people who are impoverished, who don't have their physiological needs met, who don't have their safety needs met, who are fighting every day just to meet their most basic fundamental needs for survival, for well-being. So if you have your first, second, third, and fourth needs met, your physiological, safety, and social and esteem needs met, then you could start to pursue beyond that. Then you can start to focus on your wealth and you like to optimize your health because you have enough food. So you just got to figure out what kinds of food. A lot of people don't even have any food, right? They're back at level 2. They have to figure out how to get food, how to get clothes, how to pay my bills to keep the lights on. The health, wealth, wisdom, and peace, those come later. Those come way later. And if you are able to, if you're listening to this podcast, chances are you have your fundamental needs met. And again, I'm incredibly, incredibly fortunate that I have my my basic needs met. I'm able to focus on trying to make a podcast and try to optimize my health, my wealth, my wisdom, and my peace. I recognize that it's an incredibly fortunate position to be in, privileged position to be a straight white male in middle class America. So anyway, improving, to get everybody on the same level as far as needs is really important. But without talking so much about how to get people out of poverty, because that's not what my focus has been. That's not what I've read about. I think at the core, that's probably one of the most important things any of us can do is to help impoverished people, is to get people out of poverty. That might be the worst thing for a human being, for a person. But nonetheless, after your basic needs are met, the code that I cracked in the last few episodes is this: you get after your needs are met, you can either focus on being, if you want to excel in life, you can either excel at being extremely well-rounded at everything you care about, or you could be hyper-focused and be an overachiever, a high achiever, or as I said in here, you could be exceptional. So And again, there's no right or wrong way to live. It's how you want to live. And if you don't live the way you want to live, then you are doing it the wrong way. If you have the power to change it. So again, it just comes after being in a privileged place. I get it. I'll keep saying it, but I don't want to, but I get it. So do you want to be a high achiever? It comes at a sacrifice. Do you want to be well-rounded? It comes at a sacrifice. The cost of being well-rounded means you won't be exceptional at what you're trying to do. You'll be really good at best, but you won't be exceptional. You won't be world-class. If you want to be world-class at anything, the sacrifice is you'll be less than mediocre. You'll be mediocre at best at the other things that are important to you. And to put it in perspective, this idea the code cracked after reading Cameron Hanes' book, Endure. And the quote I took from his book is, if you're not obsessed, you're going to be mediocre. If your bar is low, your results will be low. So, in his perspective, or in his, using him as an example, Cameron Hanes, you'll either be an exceptional bow hunter and do what it takes to be there, and the cost is quality time with your family, quality time doing your hobby, putting time into excel at your job, in your hobbies, I already said hobbies, your job, your position, whatever. But the reward is you become an exceptional bow hunter, or at least you become better than most people. So that's the cost. You either be exceptionally well, if you're privileged enough to focus on it, you can either be well-rounded and really good at everything, or you can be a high achiever. Yeah. So this is under purpose. I have a subsection called Success and Habits. I could write a fucking book on all of this, and I probably will. Success and habits. The quality of our lives usually depends on the quality of our habits. This is by James Clear, who wrote Atomic Habits, which has been my number one podcast. It's got the most downloads. I love it. In every case, systems are better than goals. Short-term systems should bring you closer to your long-term accomplishments. This is where you introduce a goal hierarchy. What is the overall, the number one thing you're trying to achieve, and then your long-term goal or your long-term system, and then what are you doing every day, hour, week, month, year to bring you closer to that long-term goal? Are your short-term goals bringing you closer to your long-term goal? And then do you have a hierarchy? Do you know which goals are more important than others, so that when you're confronted with either waking up early to go to the gym, or to stay out late to play soccer in your soccer league, are you gonna stay up late to play soccer in your soccer league, or are you gonna get up early to go to the gym? Because you need to know which one is more important than the other. If you can't, I guess that's kind of dumb, because a lot of people do both and get little sleep. But then again, what's more important, your sleep or staying up late and getting up early? Goal hierarchies. I've already talked about hierarchies. Success is most influenced by time, place, circumstance, and cultural legacy. Beyond that, having opportunities and taking them, and whoever can put in the most time the quickest has the greatest chances of success. This is Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers. This is Angela Duckworth's Grit. They go hand in hand. Time, place, circumstance, and cultural legacy. And then if you were given opportunity to perform and practice, and then did you perform and practice, and then how quick did you put in the hours, did you put in the practice to become really good? Consistency of effort over the long run is everything, and I exclaimed this a ton of times in the Grit podcast. Consistency of effort over the long run is everything. It is everything if you want to be a high achiever. Well, really, even if you want to be well-rounded, consistency of being at doing everything all the time is always more important. Always more important. especially to like short bursts of high input rather than or yeah. So like showing up to the gym for 8 hours once a week won't be, or once a month is not as good as showing up to the gym 30 minutes every day. Showing up to the gym every day will do more for you than showing up to the gym for 8 hours one day a month or one day a week. Fear leads to aversion. Aversion leads to cowardice. Repetition leads to confidence, and confidence leads to courage. Know-how is a help, but it's preparation that makes you brave. This is Ryan Holiday, Courage is Calling. Discipline will do more for you over the long run than motivation. Fuck motivation. Motivation is what, it's what gets you out of bed, but discipline is what gets you to the gym. Motivation is fleeting. And this is what you learn from, I wish I never took notes, because the very first book I read, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. I didn't take any notes because I was new. I didn't realize what I was doing with the podcast, but that was I think it was like the theme of his book. Motivation is shit. It doesn't do anything for you. It gets you out of bed at best, but it doesn't get you results. Motivation is fleeting, and it's short lasting, short bursts. It's discipline. It's showing up and working every day that gets you the results and the success that you want. The War of Art says his whole book is about resistance and overcoming resistance. He says resistance will bury you. I love that. How do you fight resistance? You just show up anyway. You even if your performance isn't as good as it could be or as it is on other days, showing up is always more important than backing down. What stands in the way becomes the way. This is Marcus Aurelius. And then Brene Brown talks a ton about, everyone talks a ton about vulnerability, but I recall it the most from Brene Brown. Vulnerability is required to improve at anything. To make learning effective, it needs to be effortful and it needs to be uncomfortable. That's Brene Brown. And her whole book about it is awesome. Vulnerability is required to learn new skills. If you want to try something new, you got to be in an uncomfortable position. But if you don't choose to put yourself through vulnerable positions, you can't learn. You can't grow. You can't learn. Very essential. Another subsection under purpose is attention and awareness. Everything we encounter is fighting for our attention. It's very important to be aware of your attention. Awareness. Remember, this is Sadhguru. Awareness. It is very important to be aware of your attention. The Art of Thinking Clearly, which was by Mr. Dobelli, is basically a comprehensive guide to how to be aware of all the world's influences and our biological tendencies. It's like a very thorough guide on why we behave, on why we react to certain things the way we do, and then how to be aware of them. And awareness is key, especially if you want to improve at anything. It's essential for peace. It's essential for purposeful direction and effort. Awareness. It really starts with awareness. Many books repeat how the internet promotes compulsive overconsumption. The internet, I kind of feel like the internet has far more vices than it does virtues. I think it does far worse things for us than it does anything good. When you're like, oh yeah, but the internet has a lot of shitty things, but you can make good use out of it. You can be productive on the internet and this and that and this and that. But I think fundamentally the internet actually really sucks for humans. And even though, like I've tried to utilize my time spent on the internet and on social media to do positive things and move in the directions that I want in my life, not to be just consumed by distraction. But every time I get on, I'm always consumed by distraction. And I talked about distractions earlier, and the internet, you're bombarded by advertisements, you're bombarded by negative news outlets, and just negativity in general, because it gets more attention from people than positive news, than positivity does. This is a psychological tendency that humans have. It's talked about by Dobelli in The Art of Thinking Clearly. It's discussed at length by people like Sapolsky in Behave and influenced by Cialdini. We have tendencies to react towards negative news, to negativity, than we do, more to negativity than we do to positivity. And so, the way that a lot of news outlets get your attention is they share sad news or they share scary news or bad news. Way more than positive news, way more than good things. Or at the very least, we pay less attention to the positivity and we pay more attention to the negativity. It's a psychological function that we have as a biological creature. And anyway, that's just the point. So if you're not aware of how you're being pulled by internet news media, by social media, by influencers, if you're not aware of where your attention is, then you're going to drift aimlessly in your life all the time. It is essential. This is all the fundamentals. This whole list is the fundamentals, especially to purpose. You have to be aware of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and you have to be aware of how all of these influences are pulling you in whatever direction. Are they pulling you towards your goal, or are they pulling you away from it, or even just slightly off course? How is your attention being taken? Are you aware of your attention? You have any awareness? It goes back to your meditation and being centered. Being centered and present allows for awareness. It allows for when you can observe your mind and observe your influences, you can observe them without attachment or without identity, then you can make good decisions based off that information. It's essential to be aware. It's essential to have awareness. We get to choose what we care about, what we pay attention to. I've talked about this. Each man is questioned by life, and he can only answer to life by answering for his own life. You can only respond by being responsible. This is the essence of human existence. Quote from Viktor Frankl. Each man is questioned by life, and he can only answer to life by answering for his own life. This is responsibility. You can only respond by being responsible. This is the essence of human existence. And I think what supports that is guys like Jocko Willink's Extreme Ownership, where you are always only responsible for yourself. Regardless of everything that happens around you and the positive and negative things, you are responsible for how you respond and how you behave. So when life gives you lemons, do you make lemonade or do you toss them aside or do you ignore them? What do you do? How do you respond to life? How do you respond to your circumstance? Because you're the only one responsible for it. That's it. That's all my notes. I did make a note, a random note. I took a quote from Sapolsky's Behave. It's probably not even worth mentioning because it has nothing to do with everything else. But the message is fascinating to me. Sapolsky says, animals don't behave for the good of the species, including humans. They behave to maximize the copy of their genes passed on to the next generation. Where that fits into this message, I don't really know. But I wrote it down. Probably shouldn't have shared it. But this is like my this is like the compilation of all the things that I've learned. And it's coming all together, and all of these ideas, they're being funneled into this theme and of purpose and peace and well-being, and it's been extremely fascinating, but also helpful for me. I think I joke around with my friends that I've lost my personality through these books. Like, I don't have a personality anymore. All of my opinions and my thoughts come from somebody's books or podcasts or whatever. And I don't think that's bad. In fact, I'd rather listen to smarter people than me than try to pretend to be the smart one. I'm not the smart one. I am not even close to I'm learning from the smart people, from those who have spent years of research and experiments and study and writing books and talking to people and then compiling their notes and then write the book. And then I'm learning their life's work, and I'm putting it all together and how you can live the best life you can, how I can do that for myself, and how I can help you do the same for you. That's the whole point of this. I'm not the smart one. I'm taking all the important shit and putting it together, and I'm making this wisdom sandwich. Purpose and peace. These are it's the pinnacle of human experience. If we can optimize our peace and purpose, we'll live the best lives that we can. Beyond that is your health and your wealth, but I think those are even subsets to peace and purpose. So that's it. This is a 50th book 50 books in review. You could go back through the year of like 54 podcasts and listen to all of the, I talk about each book specifically in detailed conversation. Just like this format where it's just me talking into the chat but you could listen to the books that I've done or just go read them yourself. And then we're going to keep going for another 50 fucking books probably. And we're going to see if we keep going down this same rabbit hole, this same trail, or are we going to divert our attention somewhere else, or is our ideas going to change to something else because of the new information we're going to take in? Who knows? But that's the point of this journey. We're trying to improve all the time. We never want to stop learning. We never want to stop investigating how to live better lives. Lots of common themes will point us in the same direction, and I think those are important steps to take when there's something that is repeated over and over again, like consistency of effort over time will do more for you than short bursts of motivation. That's a consistent message from all these books. Consistency of effort over the long term for success will do more than short bursts of motivation. You can't deny it. So you have to show up and work every day. You have to do the work. You have to whatever, and then you have to understand what your values are. I'm repeating myself. I love it though. So let's keep going. I'm going to be back next week on Monday, probably Monday. Yeah, no, July 11th. I'll be live. Turn on the notifications if you want to join me live. Otherwise, all the episodes will be posted to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, just like normal. You can find Here's the Point with Caden Kelly on the same Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And also, I post that on my Instagram, the 15-minute episode. And am I going to do a 15-minute of this? Probably. I might just have to read the shit really fast. But I think it's worth doing. So anyway, pumps me up. This short burst of motivation is going to pump me up to keep going for the next, keep reading. But we read. We do it. We'll be here next week. So thanks for tuning in. St. Steve's TV. Thanks for the heart. Purple hearts. Always accepted. Always welcome here. We'll be here next week. Like I just said, I'm repeating myself, trying to wrap this up, but don't always know how to wrap this up. So I just kind of mumble jumble, but that's it. So this week, go do something like I think the challenge this week is spend some time contemplating what you value in your life, what you want to achieve, what you want to accomplish, and then create plans, and then show up and do the work every day. And it's hard to do it, and it's not always comfortable. It's not always easy, but it's always worth it. It's always worth it. So go do it. Spend some time figuring it out and go do it. And we'll be back next week. Thanks for showing up. Have a good one.
読み直しているで読み直しているだけがで読み直しているで読み直している